Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is an actual test. I will try not to get into too much, but if you are actually in the area or if you're passing by, if you could just give me a one or two, a one if you can hear me, and a two if you cannot. So, once again, this is a test, primarily a test. I know earlier we went over quite a few things, but I'm just going to be running a couple of tests here, sound checks here. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for everyone that's tuning in. What you were just hearing there was a bit of a countdown. Shout out to DJ Vision Barnett. Shout out to Ben Dover. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is just I always say this is just a test, but who knows? I may come up with something. So, did you guys hear anything else when I was just playing? When I was just doing on the countdown? Yeah, we're certainly in for a battle, DJ Vision Barnett. We are certainly in for a battle, and I'm not sure what it looks like on your guys' side of the corners, but we'll see. We have. I don't know. There's quite a bit of buzz going on. I think Kamala Harris has been pretty much the big buzz since yesterday or the day before yesterday. I'm gonna play something right now. If you guys can just tell me if you hear this? I'm gonna play this again. Oh, okay. So you did get the music. So you said music was clear and loud. Okay, so I don't need to play it again. I'll take a one if that's a yes. Music was clear, and you can hear the sound of my voice. I'm using a different headset right now, so I like to do these kinds of sound checks in real time. As a musician, I do sound checks. So, but I appreciate you guys for coming in. But we talked a little bit earlier about all the fixations on things that don't really matter that much. I mean, Kamala Harris, I don't really care how black she is on the blackometer. I really don't care. I don't think it's going to. It's not going to change her character, her credentials, her experience, her record, and it's not going to change that. We have bigger fish to fry, if you will, much bigger fish to fry. We have, what do you want to call it, mail-in voting and all these things to contend with right now, and I just don't think stay focused is all I can say. Don't get distracted or get into the minutia because they're going to serve it up. We're less than 90 days out. Do you think they're going to turn the heat down? Or are they going to turn down the shenanigans? No, they're just going to get more vicious. I was listening to someone earlier. Maybe it was I was listening to maybe it was the I don't know if you guys are familiar with Brandon Tatum show, and I thought he had an excellent idea. Like just roll the polling stations right into the major essential. I'm paraphrasing. So let's just roll out. Let's just set up shop in all the essential places. The Walmart, the Targets, the grocery stores. Costco. Just set it up. I mean, I think even I'm not sure what the situation is, but I know some people I think there's a shortage on pollsters. If you've never been a pollster, or if you're interested in becoming a pollster, I think this is a good time to do it, because yeah, I don't think this is not going to be a clean election. In fact, if you guys would please check out, the censorship around here is real. If you get an opportunity to check out the video that I posted last, I mean, you've got technocracy from all over the establishment saying that mail in voting is safe and the military has been doing it for decades. And if that wasn't bad enough, I heard someone say that, what was it, like Maria Mornings from Fox Business said that, oh, Hillary Clinton says it's fine. Excuse me? Hillary Clinton. Shout out to Kimone Reed, Unstoppable. Thanks so much for coming in. Shout out to anybody that's within the sound of my voice, or if you're driving by with the window down. Thank you guys so much for taking care of with your channelytics in these times. There is a bit of a shore up on the censorship is being shored up much more. So, I'll be around as long as I can. But I'm thinking, I mean, some other alternatives might be necessary going forward. Of course, I do have a couple of backups, but I think I may want a backup home so that I can continue with a level of consistency where I'm more in control of not only the consistency of the posting of the content, but in control of the availability and the censorship. Because the censorship, I think, even on Facebook, there's so many campaigns out there. Shout out to the loyal patrons, Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Little Miss Goth, Let the Truth Be Told, Cold War Jesus, and AZ Infidel. Thank you so much. Bend Over says, Bend Over, don't get me wrong, but I get this really wonky sense when I say your name. I appreciate you. I'm gonna read your comment if you don't mind. See, the thing is, that's the good thing, when I do these rants, it's not rants. When I do a test, you get to read comments. He says the commie is running the show. The old white guy doesn't know where he is. Creepy Joe will bow out. Commie will be prez if elected, and Pelosi will be VP. But here, KH wasn't eligible to run for VP. Sounds like we've been down this road before. I appreciate it. I've been hearing that. I think that Pelosi has had dreams. Dare I use the 3-letter word in front of that? Has had dreams of being president since last year. I mean, she said some pretty not only ominous things, but some things in which, it's, because I think there's a lot of projection. I've heard of comments, of course, where she does those tedious dribble press conferences on Thursday, which I happen to watch this one. I mean, I usually watch her press conferences. It's hard to sit through those, but sometimes she tells you exactly what they're thinking, and that's helpful. It's helpful in the game of politics, but beyond politics aside, we are in a very tough precipice right now. And that's why I'm just thinking, that was my comment earlier today about how people, if they're on the left, how they're allowing themselves to be I'm just saying that people that are on the, Americans are not going to focus on. They're not going to focus on skin color. They're just not going to. Shout out to DJ Vision Barnett. Shout out to Old Head Deuce. Thank you guys so much for coming by for the test slash who knows, It's like, you guys always come out. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. But yes, I'm just thinking, like, just don't get into. I would steer clear. I will be steering clear, as I tend to do, of all the identity politics. I'm not. The thing about it, even if Kamala was not eligible, do you think they're going to come to the floor? Do you think they're going to show up? Oh my God! Okay, I realized I was ineligible. Do you think she's going to bow out like that? I mean, I'm just saying. Are we really dealing with people of integrity here? They think that they can shellac anything with politics, and nothing is done. Well, when is it? Where's the line between politics and criminality? Where's that? It's like, if it's in the name, it's all fair in the name of politics. In fact, I do believe that. Shout out to Rick Bose Rides. I do believe that. I don't know whose night show, who was the night show host that asked her about, 1 minute you're practically telling Joe Biden he's a racist, or how he held you down as a kid and other kids, but then the next minute you're a member of the family. And she just said, "Oh, it was a debate. It was a debate," and he didn't really push back. Kimon Reed Unstoppable says, "I have one eye open, fighting sleep." Kimon Reed Unstoppable, I really appreciate you. I just figured, I'm going to do this test and see if this new setup works, and it looks like it's going to work. And I appreciate you guys for coming in. Shout out to Battery Addiction. How are you? So yes, I'm just saying, I'm not. Shout out to you guys for taking care with your thumbs up, thumbs down, making sure you're still subscribed, and please check out the video in which the last video talks about the some of the top. So first and foremost, this looks like it was a CNN coverage, but they talked about the FEC commissioner, talked about, of course, she even cited Mueller report, citing interference from foreign nations. Okay, we're back to we're going to scream Russia, Russia, Russia for the next however many 80 days. And then I think her second point was, make sure you're not being, it's bots, the bots, just because they sound like a reputable source. And, I'm just saying, just use your local. See, this is the thing about this. If you're connected on any level, whether it's civic, and that's my thing about this channel, is to encourage not only involvement and being informed, but also, a partnership with your city officials, whether that means you want to run for a public office or not. Get to know who's who. I mean, they're making important decisions. I mean, I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but they're making important decisions about schools and just things overall, like your roadways, your taxes, just everything. So it's just, we have to get a better, I think it's important that we learn that we realize that this government was never, was not meant to be a top down in structure and power. And most people don't realize that your biggest, your most accessible power is at your local or at your city level, your county or your city level, because that's where you're most accessible. Your power is accessible there. If you have to go all the way to a state official, or gosh, can you imagine going to federal level with many of these things? It'll take you forever. I mean, it's the least accessible, and so it's more difficult. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. So it's least accessible when you have to deal with the federal level. But the paradigm has shifted. It's topsy turvy everywhere. Instead of government fearing the people or protecting the people, it's the other way around. We are fearing them. We are fearing what they might unleash on us. What is it? What is it? Joe Biden's already saying, like, what within his first the 100 days. That's the magic word, right? That he wants to do. I'm paraphrasing. He wants to do mandatory mask. And that's tyranny right away. Like, first of all, you're just right away, right out of the gate. And then this issue about the vaccine, to me, that if I had to come up with, to me, that's one of the number one issues. It's one of the number one issues. Yeah, no, maybe three or four issues, but certainly that has come to the forefront above all the other issues, as if we didn't have enough issues. Old head Deuce, can you explain that? Do you care to explain that? Old head Deuce says, whatever happens next, I'm sitting on my hands. Tell us about that. Okay, Ben Dover. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you for coming in, and thank you so much for taking care on the Channelytics. Makes a huge difference. And I'll tell you, I'm only going to run this stream for like a little bit longer, because this was kind of an 11th hour thing to do, but I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. Shout out to everybody in the stream. But yes, I'm just thinking, like, okay, I just don't know. It's just not, the left, the Democrats, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for them, but they are very, to me, it's very communist, their approach to most things. They don't think, and they don't plan with what they have. They plan with what they work with. They try to work with what they plan for, what they want. And they're very proactive when they come after the Republicans, or they are, but it's just such a docile situation from the Republicans. And I'm going to be honest, that kind of docile is not what's going to save this nation. I just think that we have got to demand something else on the conservative side. Old head Deuce. People are anticipating doom, whatever the next stunt is. I'm not involved. This is Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much for being here and all that you do. He says, Biden president right now, we be communist country. He said if we would go outside without a mask. See, you see what I'm saying? It's nobody wants to live like that. I mean, we have this whole thing has shown how quickly the culture of this place could change. You know, you got neighbors calling and ratting people out. You've got bystanders attacking parents riding bicycles with their children and scolding the parent for not wearing a mask. It's just, I don't know if it's desperation or not, but I think I think I'm over it. Battery addiction. Battery addiction. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'd have the. If that's most generous of you. I don't know if I have any answers for that. Thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate you. That's most generous of you. Um, but I'm just saying, it's almost like the American people are taking this whole thing much more seriously than any of these politicians. You know, what can I say? Like the thing about it is, it's like a poof, it's a magic trick or something. What is it? The magician goes on stage and saws the woman in half, but we assume that the continuation goes on the other side. Well, that's how I'm feeling about these Republicans. When I think right off, I think of, oh my God, Lindsey Graham. These people don't follow through with anything. Like, where are we on any of this stuff? On any of this General Flynn stuff? What, the Obama gates? Where are we on any of this? We can throw crap on the wall and get it to stick faster than anything. But the Democrats can bring anybody down on the right. So I'm back to my rhino part of this. Shout out to Cooking in a Mo. Thank you so much for coming in. So okay, I'm getting back to the see here. I'm going to go all the way back to the impeachment. So you had these little cheerleaders on the cheerleaders. Was it Doug Collins from Georgia? Was it Matt Gaetz from Florida? Now Matt Gaetz started getting a little squirrely last year. Thank you so much, Cooking in a Mo. Thanks so much for doing your diligence and taking care with that thumbs up, thumbs down. I appreciate it. So we have Lindsey Graham, who does not follow through. You have Doug Collins. Was it Matt Gaetz? That whole Soleimani, that whole foreign, dictator, tyrannical sympathizer routine that they did, and the resolution to snip the powers or try to curtail the powers of the president, which on that I think they wanted another Benghazi, but they didn't get it. But okay, so where was it Lindsey Graham, Matt Gaetz, Doug Collins, and then the other one that I'm a little bit, Jim Jordan. I was really hoping that Jim Jordan would turn out, would follow through. But even that, Mitch McConnell, absolutely battery addiction. See, you're right on it. Right on it. But yeah, it's been, I'm going to be honest now, and I have mentioned this, during the impeachment. You had get your law degree in like 3 days or something with those constitutional scholars. It was just with Jonathan Turley. I've seen Jonathan Turley swipe back harder at Democrats for hypocrisy and to fact check them and say, hey, no, because Obama got pretty squirrely when this whole thing about the idea of pardoning General Flynn came up, and he was out there whining and whimpering and saying, oh, there's no precedence for what you're doing, and then that's when Jonathan Turley, who was the voice of reason and logic in that whole impeachment inquiry amongst those scholars, he was like, yes, there is precedence for what's being done. You tried to do the same kind of thing with your own attorney general. So it's just, in fact, Turley even admitted that he voted for Obama. But, you had Noah, I can't think of Noah's last name, but, you had all these elites serving on that. I think they were handpicked, of course, by the House. I'm telling you, I'm just saying that, I don't mean to be Debbie Downer or negative Nancy, but I don't, unless they've got some other cards or hand to play. I mean, they're not looking very strong. And I mentioned this yesterday. That's going to be, they're going to have to come out with the big guns when these debates start, because Kamala Harris is going to be out for blood. If you remember her performance during the Kavanaugh hearings, she's not going to show him any mercy. So I don't know. I mean, I think things even got a little bit dirtier, like this is just not this. I think this is our last. This is the last. This is our last stand, and they know this is their last stronghold. Otherwise, it's going to be curtains for liberties, or what, if you want to call them liberties, freedoms, whatever. Some people might even say, oh, well, it's privileges, and whatever you want to call it. But this will not be this will not be your kids or your grandkids America. That's for sure. I'm pretty confident when I say that. I mean, just look at the chaos and the violence right now. I mean, in many ways, they're already flipping the culture, and you've got, these athletes. What was it? A soccer team that I saw somebody whining about because they were booed. We were booed by our own fans. So we all decided that I mean, who cares about your feelings? It's like this was some liberal white kid, not to take anything from anybody white, but you guys know the type, the prototype here. I mean, it's like it's like people have the right to say no, and just why are you doing anything in a country that if you're so disgusted by? It's not that hard to leave the United States. It's really not. It's just that everybody just wants they want to be a part of this turning point. They want to be a part of the precipice, but they want to be a part of the part that brings us all down, that crap that brings it down. And they're going to tell all kinds of lies in history. The liberals are going to write all kinds of revisionist tales about what happened, from the riots in Seattle, Portland, and now all of those governors are crying. So I think I saw Ted Wheeler. Now he's whining, saying, "Oh, so and so, they attempted to do murder." Or like, seriously, is this your idea of moving back to the center? Is that what you guys are doing? Yeah, there's no telling what they're not going to do. I'm not. What I don't see is how they can just get there. I just think that Congress has too much power, and for all the powers that they don't have, they they undermine. For everything that they don't have that's not enumerated, they underwrite it, or they find somebody else. to manipulate. I mean, we have NGOs, and there's just so much special interest. I think that it's just, who are they working for? I think I just saw a report with Mitt Romney. Gosh, Mitt Romney is such a Trojan horse. Trojan horses everywhere. Shout out to DJ Vision Barnett. Chrysler Imperial H says, I'd hate to see what the history books look like on this 100 years from now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Chrysler. Exactly. It's funny, even when I talk to people, from like that were around, of course, during the 60s or 70s, or even in the late 50s or whatnot. They tell their story, their accounts on things are so different already. It's very different than what's written. You just, ay ay ay, battery addiction. So yeah, it's a tough time. I mean, I guess what I was my whole message earlier today was like, just try not to get mired in the minutia, because it's distractions. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't some other distraction before this thing happens. I mean, what I don't I'm surprised that, I don't know, I think people are going to lose faith in this whole system, because we're not seeing any justice carried out. And I'm going to be honest. I mean, even for the president, I think at times, I would imagine at times he gets frustrated. There's times that he wants to give up. But I'm just saying, and I'm saying this, I clearly believe that, the Democrats, not only do they think they're above the law, but they actually live that way. They actually operate that way. So when somebody says something about Kamala and da 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 da, I mean, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop her from running. Too late. Oh, thanks so much, Cooking in a Mo. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. They're not going to stop her from running. Even if she wasn't, even if she wasn't qualified, or she's not. They weren't going to stop her. And I've said this. This is going to be rounding out. I've said this before. Shout out to battery addiction. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Old head deuce. The things that, from what I'm hearing, and some of the stories that it's just a rain. It's just raining down tons of stories, uncovered stories. The amount of uncovered stories, and yet literally, if you tried to cover them all, you wouldn't come up for air. So yeah, gosh, what was I gonna say? I'm going off the. I don't know if I. Yeah, the whole entitlement thing. That's what it is. People are lazy, lazy. I say, oh, this is not. This is nothing euphemized about what I'm saying. Lazy. There's lazy, jealousy, envy, hateful people running the roost. lazy, you just name it. I mean, but this is, I don't think that we didn't get here overnight. And I think it's going to take some generations to undo. And I don't know if it's a matter of undoing. Like, I think I heard a story. Let me see if I can pull this one up. Let me see if I can pull this one up. Hope you guys are doing well. BLM is brain called. See, there you go. Precisely. This is all very communist. They don't like capitalism, but then they also don't like people that want to work. So somehow they think they can, appear to have public support, and then they can somehow get in the middle, but ultimately to overthrow somebody. Let's see. Okay, so here's a sad one of the sad stories that I heard. I mean, all of them are horrible, but pretty bad. All right, so this is the Chicago rioters attacked the Ronald McDonald House. I mean, how much more despicable can you get? How much? But see, this is what I'm talking about. At some point, I don't know, where's the spirit of 1776? If we can't protect the kids, then what are we talking about? Okay, this is something that I'm finding from something called I guess it's Discern, DISRN.com. Chicago rioters attacked Ronald McDonald House with more than 30 families and sick children inside. And see, this is pretty personal to me, because I know about I've had my own personal experience with the Ronald McDonald House. So I'm just thinking, send the guard to the Ronald McDonald House. Send the local militia to the Ronald McDonald House. What's going on? I mean, that's a stressful time. That's a stressful time. I mean, okay, so the story goes, okay, this was written this afternoon. The rioters in Chicago attacked a Ronald McDonald House. No, okay. Monday morning while sick children and families slept inside. No one inside was injured, and no scheduled appointments or treatments were missed because of the incident. No damage was caused to the inside of the facility. Okay, so let's see. I might even have a little bit of coverage for you on that, but I'll continue. Let me see if I have it. Let me just give you get a little bit more landscape here. So the looting and rioting actually began Sunday night with smashed facility windows. The charity responded by boarding its front doors to prevent more damage. This is a quote: "We're here for families at all times, whether there's a pandemic or civil unrest. We need to make sure that we are here allowing families to get the rest they need while they have a child in the hospital seeking care. So it's so important that anything that might be going on outside, we maintain our care for families," end quote. Lisa Mitchell of Ronald McDonald said. Ronald McDonald House provides shelter and resources to needy families while their child receives treatment at local hospitals. Quote, "They are already in a really, really difficult spot, and having this kind of additional stress and worry about getting to and from the hospital, even though we are 5 blocks away because of safety concerns, is just doubling the strain," end quote, Mitchell said. Okay, so more than 100 people were arrested and 13 officers were injured in Chicago over Sunday night and Monday morning. The Chicago police superintendent says the rioting and looting was a coordinated response to a police shooting in Chicago on Sunday. Ay, ay, ay. I honestly, that's got to be the dirtiest, the most disgusting. Shout out to J Dog One Party RE. Thank you so much for coming in. That's beyond unacceptable. That is beyond unacceptable. I'm just thinking that they really need to bring the guard in, bring the guard in to those places that are vulnerable, because to me, I think there's nothing off limits. There's nothing is off limits to these people, and they don't care who they hurt. They really don't. They don't care. It's not even, if they don't have to care, they don't respect these kids. They don't respect these families, because can you imagine that if one of those kids had to miss treatment, or if a building was damaged, which caused which put the kids in jeopardy, because most kids that are in at the Ronald McDonald House, their families, they're dealing with some type of ongoing treatment, and sometimes it's a life-saving, it's a regimen that they're on. I mean, that mayor, why is she still there? I mean, I just don't. But like I said, this situation did not occur overnight. It did not, and it's not going to be resolved overnight. It's not going to be resolved overnight. Unfortunately, many people don't understand anything other than force. Bringing a bunch of social workers and socio emotional directors to talk to these people. Yes, yes, she is. I don't know. She's pretty demonic. She's demonic, and she's gonna have a lot of blood on her hands. And that the whole city of Chicago, is that Kim Fox, and oh my gosh, they're up to their knees in it. I mean, what can come out of there? And what it's doing is it's causing civil people and officers and police officers and families to flee. They are going to flee these cities. And the next thing you know, they bring their ideologies with them, and then your city or another city that's pretty civil. But I'm going to tell you, there's a couple of places that I have yet to hear these kinds of surges in violence. But it's happening because we've allowed it, and we've been docile and been demoralized too long. Now, I haven't been to Chicago, and probably, well, I have been to Chicago, but I haven't spent any significant time there. Not any significant time there, but I'm usually in and out, in and out. Nobody gets hurt when I go there, but I haven't spent any significant time there, or even it's probably been like 8, 10 years since I spent an entire weekend there. But this to me, the country's just it looks really fractured right now. But I really appreciate you guys for coming out and tuning in for the test. I appreciate it. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H says take the National Guard out of the equation and let the 3%ers go in. Well, I think that I think that the 3%ers are ready to go. I really do. I mean, but when you just look at these kids, these are to me, these are like what ex Bernie Sanders supporters or something like that. That's what, from what I've seen, you know, Bernie Sanders even had radical, what was it, campaign coordinators or campaign managers saying that, that they made the threat several months ago that they were willing to burn the cities. What's that? The DJ says nice late night EPS. Yeah, these are actually kind of fun. They're kind of fun to do. It's time to wind down, because I'm not scheduled for a stream tomorrow, but sometimes it's fun to do these. I appreciate you guys so much for coming in. And Battery Addiction says I'll go in either way. Yeah, that just, I'm saying they've crossed the line already. They've crossed the line already. Kids have been hurt all over the country, but to put kids at risk, fragile, and kids that are in a fragile state. See, Old Head said militias and mercenaries are not allegiant troops. They can be bought. Oh, thanks so much, DJ Vision Barnett. I really appreciate it. And Chrysler says, and I'm sure there's enough 3%ers here on YouTube who just love to go in. I mean, it's I don't know. I'm going to talk a little bit about the election and then that process, and then I'm going to close this one out. We're less than 90 days, and I had this soundbite in which they're saying, "Oh, just be patient, and if it takes longer than normal." So this is just who trust any of these people? I don't want to be vulgar, but it's like, oh wow. Do we have anybody that walks the straight and narrow? Do we? Shout out to everybody in the stream. But it looks like, as they say, I mean, is the word is the phrase waking up, is that obsolete by now? But looks like we even had a bit of a protest. Well, we had the walkaway movement, if you're not familiar with that. It looks like Beverly Hills was walking away this weekend, which is good. It's good. But, that'll never get the coverage. That will never get the coverage. Let's see. All right. So what we're going to do, maybe I'll show you a little bit of that. I know what I want to get to, but okay, but let's just go into this. Well, I don't want to go into that right now. we'll save that for later. But yeah, so it's back to the bots and we're on like a 2-month cycle. They start recycling talking points and battery addiction says God is in control. Says how does one get coverage? Great question. Let's see. I really appreciate you guys for coming in, and I think I did get let me try to play one thing, and then if you guys can hear that, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever you can do. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'll pull it up right here. Give me just a second, and then I'll probably wrap up with this. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit of this. I played some of it earlier. And let me just play a little bit of it now. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thank you so much for coming in. So just give me a 1 if you can hear it. So I think I'm going to go on mute while this happens. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Thanks so much for coming in. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. Okay. All right. So this is going to be a little bit of a looting erupts in downtown Chicago. So if you can hear it, give me a 1. And if you cannot, give me a 2. Thank you so much.
I'm asking.
Oh. Yves Saint Laurent. Dior. Rag and Bone. Oh, Jesus. They got the jewelry store.
This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality. This was an act of violence against our police officers and against our city.
These individuals' engagement can only be described as brazen and extensive criminal looting and destruction. And to be clear, this had nothing to do with legitimate, protected First Amendment expression.
On Sunday afternoon, officers responded to a call of a man with a gun. A suspect was spotted, and officers attempted to interview the individual who quickly fled. As this person was running away, a gun held by this person was pointed at our police officers who gave chase, and this person fired shots at our officers. Officers returned fire and struck the individual, who was taken to the University of Chicago Hospital and is expected to survive. The shooter is a 20-year-old man with 4 previous arrests for charges including burglary, child endangerment, and domestic battery.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. So you notice how Lightfoot comes charging right in with the narrative. She's controlling the narrative, telling you this has nothing to do with protected, now I'm paraphrasing, First Amendment something. I have no idea. But it was, bizarre the way she even worded it, but she made sure she got that in. She just strikes me as a very bitter person. And unfortunately, that's the force that's driving. She's power struggling, and that's where I find a lot of this garbage happening is coming from a struggling feminist. They never accepted the 2016 election did not go to Hillary Clinton. They never accepted that. So everything is, is pretty point of contention at this point. Not to mention all the global elite. So I'm going to play something else for you. I thank everybody for joining me on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Hope you guys are doing well out there. This is going to come from Sleepy Joe. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for taking care with the Channelytics.
Every single American should be wearing a mask when they're outside for the next 3 months at a minimum. Every governor should mandate mandatory mask wearing. Every single American should be wearing a mask when they're outside for the next 3 months.
And there you have it, folks. So that's what you get from Sleepy Joe and his kind of leadership. That's rolling out of the gate. All right, guys. Once again, I really appreciate everything that you guys do to support the channel. Also, keep an eye out on your actual community tab. And keep your eye out for the community tab. And I will see you guys around. This is actually typically a moonlight stream. So we'll call it a moonlight test. Just for this time around. And I appreciate everyone. And thank you so much for taking care with those Channelytics. Keep an eye on your community tab, either on Patreon or the central community tab. And we'll see, old head dudes. We'll see. Maybe. I say I'm not going to come on, but then I come on. So I really appreciate you guys, and have a great night. Have a great night, guys. Thanks so much for all that you do.